Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tina and I'm just so happy to be here with you sharing some crafty goodness here. I am going to be working on one of our scrap in kits, but I'm going to share all the details on this layout with you. I really like this layout so that you can create it yourself. All right, I did some work ahead of time. Oh, I felt that I had that was like hiding underneath. But those of you who've watched me know I usually lose a piece, right? Okay. So I'm going to share the measurements on this kit. I did a little pre-work ahead of time, and I'm going to pop a video in on the pre-work after I tell you what I'm doing. I have a Halloween layout here, and this is the first in a series for our Scrap In collection, Color My World. And what you get with these kits are pieces of the kit that becomes artwork that either you get to color, or maybe you have a child or a grandchild or a sister, who knows. If you love coloring, you're going to love the kits. And if you have, like I said, maybe a child and you want to let them color and then make it become part of your scrapbooks, I thought this was one of the funnest things to do. I would have loved to have had this opportunity when my kids were younger. My kids would build paper dolls. They were called paper pals, and they're all through their scrapbooks. I may have to share that sometime. But I went ahead, your pieces will look like this, but I'll give you some measurements on these so you can create your own. And I went ahead and colored those and added some glitter. For my ghosts, I just highlighted them with a light brown. I used brown gray, and I went around the outside of all my ghosts just to give them some dimension, a little shadow effect, if you will. And then I filled the inside of my ghosts in with some stickles. And I did this piece at one time and this piece at another, so I hope they're the same stickles, but guess what? If they're not, it happens. But I believe I used, I don't think it was diamond. Hold on, Stardust. I believe I used Stardust stickles on this. This Stardust is what I think I used. There we go. All right, and then I filled them in, and then I took black marker and I colored here, and I colored, I colored everything with my markers. There it is. But for the bats and the hat, I colored them in with my black marker. And then when it was done, I took my onyx pearls and I filled them in, but I did this swirling just again and again and again to give them this texture. I went back and forth. I went in circles. I kind of moved it all around, and it gives this super cool texture. And it's a great way to use some of the mixed media embellishment things that we all have in our stash. All right, so I'm super excited for these kits. All right, let's talk about this background. My background technique is just this splattered of this lime gloss spray right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop a video in now showing how I did that. Hello, I wanted to pop in this little video on how I'm doing the splatter background technique for these Halloween kits. So here I've already done my first two pieces, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I did both the orange and the purple, and what I've used. So I'm using, let's put this on, this lime media gloss spray, okay? And it's like paint. So one thing I did is with the lid on, I shook, and I made sure I got all of that paint off of the bottom. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of, I don't know, I think of it as like an old 50s cigarette when they would have it in the movie, that little kind of flick. That's what I'm going to use, but you can do so many different ways with this. Depending on how much you have, you can get bigger or smaller. Now, I'm going to be very generous with my splatter. And you can even do it this way. If you hit it hard on an angle, it will kind of brush over. A couple of years ago, I showed a technique with this where I added the splatters and then I kind of shook the paper like this and it made it run. And I used that for a cauldron card. With this, I think it was this lime that I used too. It's one of my favorites. I think it just has, for Halloween, it's one of my favorites for Halloween. But I wanted to be very generous with my splatters And I don't want to have to worry about what's going to be covered up and what's not. So I'm making sure I get the edges, and I have my craft mat down to collect all of the overspray because I will have some. Now I like this technique better than spraying it because I like the droplet kind of look. But if you are going to spray it, what you could do is just get a box, and you can drop your pieces down in a box and give it a spray, and it will also help to minimize your mess. Now I have this standing by because even though I had the craft mat, I can see a little bit of splatter right here. My other suggestion is wipe this up as soon as you're done because it is paint and it will dry. I got some on my floor a few years ago on my craft room floor, and I have to tell you, a couple years later, it was still there in some spots. So it is serious. I love this look, and I think it's going to add such a nice addition to this Halloween layout. All right, and I hope you guys might be interested in using a little bit of that gloss spray. All right, I hope that was helpful. I had to do that ahead of time because of the drying time. All right, let's go ahead and get to all the fun things for this layout. All right, I'm working with 12 by 12 base pages in this super bright yellow. It's like sunshine, right? Super bright yellow. You, of course, could do whatever you like. I know so many people who were going to change that to black. All right, for this one here, this piece here, this is an 11, I'm going to have to remeasure it. I'm leaving it 1/4 of an inch all the way around. At least I hope I'm leaving it 1/4 of an inch all the way around. I'm using my Versamat to try to make sure I get it where it needs to go. Okay, this border here, and notice I have all cardstock pieces. This border here is 11.5 by 2.5. 11.5 by 2.5. Okay. I have my guide is to the left of me. I had to hit my computer so it doesn't go to sleep so I can remember where all these pieces go. All right, let's talk about the big piece. The big piece is 9 by 11.5. And what we're doing is we're just creating a border, 1/4 of an inch border all around the page. This is our base. We're going to do both pages of our base at one time here, and then I'll get into the other. Look at this green. You guys can see why I wanted to bring in some more of that green. You can use, you know, any kind of paper that you like. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side with the same size pieces. You can change up the background to be, you know, whatever, however you would like it to be. If you don't have pieces this big, you can, you know, sandwich some pieces in between it and still come up with this layout, because what I really like about it is the picture orientation. Okay, a nice piece of orange. This isn't super bright. I went with a little bit lighter. I wanted my coloring to stand out. So even though I thought I was going to use some darker colors on this, I ended up switching to the lighter colors so my colors could stand out. All right, that's our whole background. Super easy. All right, now I have a 1/2 inch by 11.5 inch piece of the green. When you make this layout, you're going to want to pull in an accent color. And when I do my accent color, I like to keep just this little strip, a piece for here and a piece for here. And this layout just has so many options. So this is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and all my smaller square mats are 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. All right, our first one, I'm going to use the lighter side of my paper. Once again, I just want to make sure my coloring and my pictures take front and center. All right, this is going on the orange. And you can kind of see as this comes in that splattering technique that I did, it really does add something to this. All right, I also have a stamp off to the side. This is a scattered stars stamp. I did want to show you, if you don't have a scattered stars stamp, or maybe some of, you know, you could do it with black bursts if you wanted to. I wanted to show you how simple it would be to kind of take that and make them. All right, I'm sure I'll find my scrap paper in just a minute. So what you could do is just kind of make the X and then draw it across. So it's basically an X and then one down the center and one across the center, and you'll get that. If you ever have like a small little area that you want to put some kind of embellishment in, or, you know, a little type of background of anything, and you want to add a little something, but maybe you don't have it. This is just such an easy way, and you can do these in any color pens that you have. So just the pens, and you control how big you would like them. So you can make them bigger or you can make them smaller. All right. I hope that little tip kind of helps you. If you're ever looking at something, you're like, oh, it just needs a little something. It's an easy way to get it. All right, let's talk about the circle. This is the circle size that I like. So I spaced this to be inside this. This is, let's go this way. This is 8 3/4. 8 3/4. And then this portion from here to here is 3 3/4. All right, so that's kind of the size of the circle. If you're going to double layer it, then basically you just want to use, if you're using a manual cut circle, you want to use whatever size circle is going to fit in it. But here's the thing. When you put this in, I do not put it all the way, like frame it all the way. I am going to stick it flush to the flat end and then just kind of go here to here. So you'll want to make that small adjustment. Now my paper has a little bit, if you've ever used a lot of stickles or liquid pearls to cover anything, you know that it kind of gets, you know, because it's liquid, it soaks in and it gets a little warped. I find that using extra adhesive helps flatten that out when you're putting your projects together. All right. See what we got here. This one's going to go over here. I have these 3 1/2, but wait, 3 1/4. Let me just double check, guys. Don't want to, okay, 3 1/4. Don't want to be telling lies. 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 mats. But then we have one big mat, and our one big mat is so that you pick your favorite picture. This is your highlight picture. That favorite picture is going to go right here. That's going to be your best picture. And then all these other pictures can be smaller things that happened in that. But what I really like is what stands out is your favorite picture and your coloring. So if a child is doing this, obviously you're going to want that child to be front and center. Okay. Had to walk away there for a second. I forgot my photo mats, and I always think they add so much. All right, for our circle, really it's the position of this and how much you want to see. If you push this over too far, you know, it'll go over. It's really going to change the look of the layout. Let me make sure this is in frame. Here we go. It's going to change the look of the layout based on if you go there, and you move it in. So I always suggest when you're deciding where you're going to place it, have this big photo right next to it and decide where you want it to be. Also your circle, if you move it up, it's going to give it one look. If you move it down, it's going to kind of give another look. I'm going to put mine right in the center, up to down, just so you know. Okay, this is such a great layout. I cannot wait to see what everybody does with this. I love the picture orientation, as I mentioned earlier. All right, I think that looks pretty straight. And there we go. All right, now we'll go ahead and put our black mat in. This black mat is 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. You could double mat this as well. And I'm going to kind of want this to stay below that circle, because if we move it above it, it just, I don't know, it takes on a little bit more. This is just a simple design that I did, a print and cut design from Design Space, but I want to give you a measurement on it and give you a couple of ideas. Use your stamps to create it. You could do some type of a border. You could cut some of your paper out, but let me just get you a measurement on this. It is 6 inches by 2. Okay, so it's 6 across, and at the highest point it's 2. I have this yellow here at the bottom, so I have the option to tuck it in and just kind of let that black mat feed up. And I think that I kind of feel like I like the little bit of the yellow outline on this, and I wasn't sure if I was going to. All right, let's put this back because I'm looking at my photo mat, and my photo mat feels a little crooked. Let's get a measurement here. Okay. Well, it's pretty close. If it's crooked, it's only by It's only by a little bit. All right, so we're good to go with that. This one here, I'm going to end up overlapping my other photo. All right, I like to put these little... I've gotten some good feedback, and people say that this kind of helps them visualize their layout. So I'm going to keep that. This guy here, we're going to put on foam tape. I wasn't sure if I was going to put it on foam tape. I did not put this on foam tape. This is on foam tape, but I'll go over that as well. Let me go ahead and grab some foam tape out of here. I'm currently using up a lot of products that I have. Just trying, I actually want to work with less. I'm kind of at a point where I feel like the more I'm surrounded by, the less productive I am. So I'm trying to highlight certain products and work with them for a month. And then the next month, maybe highlight another product. Foam tape is always a highlighted product though, because I love foam tape. All right, here we go. Let's grab this one here. And as I mentioned, 3 1/4, 3 1/4 are all these mats. This will just give you an idea. And if you want to add some inking to the background, Distress Oxide ink would work really great. All right, I have that background stamp, and I wasn't sure what color I was going to do my stars, but I'm going to do them in black. My favorite ink, my favorite black ink, VersaFine. Oh, I love this VersaFine. It's a pigment ink. I do find that if you're going to color with it right away, you want to let it sit a little bit longer. I'm just going to do this. This is why I haven't put this down. I'm going to say this is where it's going to go. And then I'm going to slide it out very carefully and stamp. I don't do good with measuring a lot of things up. Oh, that's going to be fantastic. I think I would almost like to have a little bit of stars here on the other end as well. So I'm just going to ink up a portion of it and kind of just go like that. And I'm okay if I get second generation stamping in the background. It's going to just add a little bit more. I needed to go a little higher. I have it's just not enough for me. How about if we do a couple more right here? There we go. I am liking that. I like it so much. I want to fill in. I wasn't sure how much I was gonna like these stars, but now I'm finding I really like them. Over here, I want to do a little bit as well, but I don't think I want them at the top. I think I'm gonna want them down here at the bottom. All right, so we'll go ahead and I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna do a second one as well, right over here. And we're gonna see how those map out. I like to be very freeing with my background stamping. Okay, this guy here, I have ink on me. Let's wipe that off. I know that one of my friends that are watching are just going, she wiped it on her shirt. I did. I wiped it on my shirt. I do not wear aprons. I wear craft shirts, which are my husband's old shirts normally. And I wipe my acrylic blocks all over myself. I don't have time for the other. I don't know. I find it just works for me, right? We all got to find what works for us. All right, so some foam tape to give some dimension. We have some added dimension with that awesome colored piece on the other side. I like the piece. I mean, my coloring turned out okay, but I really like the piece. All right, so this is going to overlap just a little bit. I'm taking some of the sticky off that foam tape, but I can always cut it away. I love pre-done layouts. I recently went on a scrap retreat of my own. I get to go once a year with some of the most amazing ladies. They really just build you up and make you feel like you're all that in a bag of chips. And because of my done layouts, I was able to finish 83 pages with all my photos and everything. And I print my own photos, so that was quite a feat for me. I love it. I love the stars. All worked out so good. All right. I'm going to move these out of the way. This title here is another one that I have over here, and I did think about having the Halloween here instead of here, but I just opted against it. This one is 5 by 1 3/4, but you could even them out if you wanted to. You'll have the space, all right? But we're going to put some foam tape on this one as well. And I just printed all of these out of Design Space. This layout, I think, is going to be a fun addition to our monthly creative art challenge for September. This is videos from September 2024. So I'm going to be interested to see kind of what everybody comes up with. Okay. And it's such a simple layout, but I don't know. I feel like it has all the things because you give it all the things. I also think this works for like if you're trying to use up some pattern paper. I didn't want to use pattern paper because I think it really will take away from the coloring on this one for me. But I think if you're trying to get rid of some Halloween pattern paper, you could put it in just different little areas and highlight smaller pieces and it would work well. I usually try to have all these photo mats done before the video, but I am scrambling to get multiple of these done because all of these new kits just came available. All our scrap-in kits just became available on our website. And I'll put all that information in the description. Okay, here's what I have. We don't want to go as low as this. We want them to be a little higher so that, you know, we have good things coming across. And I don't want a huge gap in between these. So I'm going to space mainly the bottom and make sure the bottom is where I want it. I don't want this to be too low. We're going to come up a little bit more. Tell you where I end up when I'm done. A little bit more. All right. I feel like I'm getting super close. That's going to be perfect. I am 3 inches from the bottom. Okay. And just spaced how you like across. So I'm 3 inches from the bottom. And looking at just the orange portion that I have, I would say that is about maybe 3/8. I'm going to slide it over just a little bit more. There we go. And then I'm going to leave space in between these photos, about the same amount, 3/8 of an inch. I have that green one, that highlight color that kind of comes across. I like the way it all worked out. And I love to just consistently find ways to use products that I already have in my stash. There's so much paint in those glossy sprays. I mean, you have to watch buying too many of them. It'll take you forever to use them up. So why not try to use them as much as we can? And the lime is my favorite to use at Halloween. Believe it or not, it's not the orange, it's the lime. Okay. There we go. Now what I did, the background piece is included, but if you decide to go with the kit, I went ahead and did the foam tape from the colored piece, the Color My World piece to, or I think these are called Color Me Happy. Color Me Happy piece to the back mat. I liked it because it just added more dimension with this black mat. And it kind of brings it all in. I'm staying away from the edges as I put this piece on so I can slide my photos on nicely. Doesn't that, I love it. It just, the whole layout now just jumps out at you. All right, let's get this on. And how much fun will that be to just have, you know, great memories and artwork. And you could even use this to take pictures of them coloring and use that. All right. The same thing, I have like no foam tape right here. So I'm going to be able to move it up and overlap it just a little bit. Drop that Halloween in. This is looking really good. I'm very happy with how this has turned out. I am going to grab some bling out of my drawer. Always grabbing bling out of my stash. I know what I'm looking for. Let's just see if we can find it. All right, I'm looking for a second bling that I wanted to add that I have just had forever. Oh, there they are. They were trying to hide from me. Okay, so if you happen to purchase these Boo Crew sequins a while back from Close to My Heart, how cute would it be just to add the little holographic sequins? So if you had those in your stash, I'm always trying to share ways to, you know, to do that. All right, in this kit, there are some bats. So whatever you have, you could do this as butterflies. You could do them as little flowers if you want to add them. I put these on some foam tape, and I'm just going to be adding those to multiple places. And there's 4. This gave me an opportunity to use up some of my black foam tape. I'm trying to use up all my stuff. Let's put one here. And I did these a good size. I originally had them smaller, and then I went back and I resized them because I was just like, why not have them, you know, be nice and big, since we have the bats and the ghosts on that side piece. Okay. There we go. And now I have some black and white dots. And I always prefer dots. I'm a dot person. I'm happy to just have dots. All right, here we go. I think I'm going to go right here. I may have to reach in and grab just kind of right inside the cluster so it's not front and center. And I'm just doing 2 instead of 3. Normally 3 is my jam, but I'm just doing 2 for this one. 1 big and 1 small in 3 spots. Here we go. So still keeping the idea of 3, but, and there we go. That's going to do it for me. All right, and here we go. We have this Color Me Happy Halloween layout with all the fun coloring. I was able to match my colors so nicely because I use my Spectrum Noir markers. Love those things. Here we go. This one here. So much fun and dimension. Really turned out great. I could have even done this a little messier. So if you want to do a few more things with this layout and you decide to do the Halloween one that we have, you could ink this with maybe your distressed oxide, like the soot, the black color. You could add, you know, more of that ink around there and get it even messier, bringing in both of the distress oxide ink and the spray. If you wanted to do that, you could add more than one color spray. Maybe you're going to add, you know, the orange and the cheddar. Maybe you're like, I'm going to add cheddar and I'm going to add lime and I'm going to add all the things. These layouts are so much fun. I always try to give you different ideas on some things you could do. I really like how the background stamping came out. I always keep background stamps right next to me. I don't think you need 40 of them. You know, if you have a core few, you're good to go. I've been using the same stamps for years now, background stamps for years now, and I get tons of use out of them. That's why we invest in our stamps. All right, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you found it useful, if you like the layout, if you just enjoyed spending some time with me, can you please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me out here in the YouTube community, and I hope you guys will give a go with this sketch. It's a lot of fun, and I've used this sketch for multiple layouts that I have coming up, and it's a winner. You guys have a great day. Thanks for sharing a bit of your time with me and letting me get my craft on. Take care. Bye-bye.